president has made being a family man a central part of his political identity.
It's not Republicans, with all due respect, who made Hunter Biden into a complete scumbag on this and other issues. The ignoring his own daughter for 4 years, and the president of the United States hanging up a stocking for the dog, and not for his 7th grandchild.
Okay, look.
And it got tense on the set of CNN when Scott Jennings pointed out that it wasn't Republicans who ignored Hunter Biden's child, Joe Biden's 7th grandchild, for 4 years. Isn't that fun? It's fun for me. That's a schadenfreude moment right there. And welcome to Monday on the Chris Plant Show. My name is Mike Opelka. I have been here before, and God willing, I'll be here all week as Chris vacations this week. We are blessed with an absolute full buffet of buffoonery from the Biden White House, and some pretty serious topics that we also need to discuss on the program today. But I think it bears mentioning virtually every hour today that Friday at 5:02 p.m., the Bidens, Joe Biden, Jill Biden, finally admitted they have a grandchild, number 7, a young girl who's been around for 4 years, just about to be 5 years old. And they said the reason given for not acknowledging this child was that there were legal matters that were being worked out between Hunter and I believe the correct terminology in the Jerry Springer world is the baby mama. It really is offensive to me, because Joe Biden's always saying what a good Catholic he is and what a good Christian he is. And this child should have been given more love and attention. This child had everything stacked against her. Born to a single mom, fathered by a guy that has a recurring drug habit and a problem, been in rehab 6 times since 2003 that we know. So that child, without the protections of a mom and a dad in a household at the same time, needed grandma and grandpa more than anything. So I'm sorry, Joe Biden. I'm sorry, Jill Biden. You guys failed on this one to try and slough this off as we were waiting until the ink had dried on the papers. No, that kid needed nutrition. That kid needed emotional support. That kid needed a hug and a kiss. And you're welcome to this family. That kid needed to meet the other grandchildren. And you failed, Mr. President. You failed. And you can run to the beach all you want. But this is an abject failure as a human being. And this is the guy who told us he was running to restore the soul of America. Well, avoiding a child for 4 years is the most soulless thing you can do. Denying a child for 4 years is soulless. I know I'm harping on it, but I think it's correct. And if you think I'm wrong, tell me. Tell me if you think it's a purely political thing. The reason why Joe Biden, or a personal thing, why Joe Biden avoided this because they were waiting for the legal stuff to be settled. Let me know, correct me, because I think this was totally political. I go back to Maureen Dowd saying a couple of weeks ago, Mr. President, you need to acknowledge this child. And then I'm sure there were a whole bunch of polls done, because everything's about polling and optics. It's all about optics. And during the 4th of July celebration at the White House, while the Secret Service was not trying to find out whose cocaine it was, we saw Hunter Biden tweaking around, twitching, and holding up another child. But little Navy was not welcome. Just go back to the fact that somebody decided that this child should not be allowed to have Hunter Biden's last name. Not be allowed to have the benefits. And yes, there are benefits. And there also are negatives to being related to the president. I'm sure your privacy is at large on any given day. And a lot of people with ill intentions want to get close to you because of who your grandpa would be. But that child should have been allowed to have the right to have that name. And somebody advised and made it part of the legal settlement that that child could not be named Navy Biden. That to me is really curious too. And Hunter Biden, who spent God knows how many hours in an Arkansas courtroom pleading poverty, saying he couldn't support the child payments from the original agreement, the support payments, which were, I believe they were $20,000 a month. Now that's a pretty good chunk of change, but the baby was going to need some protection from the outside world. We all know that the press, the paparazzi, paws at the privacy of people like this. And they'll all want to get the right picture, right? So they'll be swarming. The TMZs and the tabloids will be around this child. So that $20,000 probably was a drop in the bucket. Hunter pled poverty, said he didn't have a job, ran out of paintings to sell, I guess. And then that number was reduced to $5,000 a month, reportedly. And the baby has been given possession of a cache of Hunter's artwork, which I wonder how they valued that. Was it on the value of the money that was raised from friends of the Bidens who then got political favors and appointments because they paid for that? I don't know. Hunter flew privately from Washington, D.C. to Arkansas, and then reportedly flew privately back to California, where I believe we're currently, you and me, we're currently paying $30,000 a month to house the Secret Service protection detail that has to follow Hunter Biden wherever he is and has to live in the neighborhood in the Hollywood Hills where Hunter has, I think he bought this home. I think it was, like one of those Hollywood Hills starter homes for about $1.3 million. I'm just speculating. So Hunter Biden still flies private, still has, I guess, some ability to paint, although maybe the muse is gone since he's been sober. He's reportedly been sober since 2019. And I hope that's the reality. I hope he's able to beat his demons. But 6 rehabs since 2003, that's pretty tough. That means you've got a pretty nasty monkey on your back. I hope he's able, for the sake of the child, I hope that little child's able to have a dad in her life and a mom and a grandma and a grandpa on both sides. There's no better thing for any kid to have 2 parents and 2 sets of grandparents. Anybody who has that or had it knows the benefit. Now, what else is happening in the world? Because it is crazy. As I said, we're waiting on Devin Archer to testify. There's a Mar-a-Lago property manager who's been ordered to appear in court because the left is relentless in its pursuit to prevent Donald Trump from running for president. We're still waiting to see if there's another indictment coming out of D.C. as well. It's just an endless whack-a-mole of legal stuff for Donald Trump. And if anything happens on that, we'll see. I'm curious about the House recess for 6 weeks now. There is a committee hearing today, but the rest of the House has gone home for 6 weeks. Are you getting 6 weeks off? I don't think I am. No, I'm not. I just checked. I'm not getting 6 weeks off. I wish I were. 6 weeks paid. I know someone's going to call up and say, Mike, you're giving fake news. They actually are going to hold office hours during that time. Not really. Talk to your congressional reps. Ask when the hours are going to be that rep is going to be in the office. Then we can talk about it, right? Sure, we can. Let's get to Rand Paul, because this is a big stinking deal. John Solomon and the crew over at Just the News reporting on this, and I think this is really important. If we actually get some action out of it, that would be fantastic. If we get the DOJ's attention on this, that would be even more stunning and surprising. Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky announced that he's sending a criminal referral to the DOJ regarding Fauci, who's no longer the head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Rand Paul cited an email from February 2020 in which Fauci wrote that the scientists discussed whether or not COVID-19 was produced through genetic engineering at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Quote in the report, quoting from Rand Paul, this suspicion was heightened by the fact that the scientists in Wuhan University are known to have been working on gain-of-function experiments to determine the molecular mechanisms associated with bat viruses adapting to human infections. And the outbreak originated in Wuhan. Now, if Fauci is brought up, Rand Paul should, on charges, Rand Paul should get some love for this. But I think the real love for this belongs to Jim Jordan, Congressman Jim Jordan, who was a pit bull on this before he got his hands on committees. When he was in the minority, Congressman Jordan was really knee-deep in the emails of Fauci. And this was way back when. It's over 2 years now. Actually, I think we're in our third year. Jim Jordan invited Fauci to show up at a committee hearing and discuss what was going on as it related to COVID and the belief that COVID came out of a Chinese lab. Fauci said, no, I'm not showing up. But Jordan got his hands on a whole bunch of emails. Now, let me just give you a little taste of what was in those emails per Jim Jordan.
Friday, January 31st, 2020 at 10:32 p.m., Dr. Fauci gets an email from Christian Anderson. Christian Anderson's a British researcher who's received numerous grants from NIH. Two really important sentences are in that email. Two sentences that get Dr. Fauci's attention. The first is this: the unusual features of the virus make up a really small part of the genome. So one has to look really closely at all the sequences to see that some of the features look engineered. Again, this is January 31st, 2020. Second sentence: Eddie, Bob, Mike, and myself all find the genome inconsistent with expectations from evolutionary theory. Email arrives 10:32 to Dr. Fauci on January 31st, 2020.
So January 31st of 2020, we're over 3 years now, that Fauci...
2 hours later at 12:29...
Hang on there, Jim. Hang on there, Jim. This is late night, January 31st. Fauci gets a note from some of his pals, some of the people that he colludes with, some of the people he consults with, some of the people he sends your money to. Fauci gets an email saying, there's this virus we've known about, and at this point, it's the end of January 2020. It's not a pandemic yet. It's said to be not as dangerous as the flu. CNN was telling everybody this isn't a problem. The mayor of New York was telling people go to Chinatown. Nancy Pelosi was telling people in San Francisco, go to Chinatown. And they were telling anybody who called it a China virus that you're racist. And if Donald Trump wanted to close traffic from China to America, he was a racist. He was a xenophobe. And here we are getting an email confirmation the last day of January 2020 saying that scientists who are involved in this exact stuff are warning Fauci, hey, there's a problem here. I want to get to more of this. I'll play you a little bit more of this. And this is why I believe that Rand Paul should get credit if Fauci goes down, but Jim Jordan is the guy who opened the door and showed us what was out there. More coming up just around the corner. You can join us. 888-630-9625. 888-630-9625. Micah Opelka in for Chris Plant on The Chris Plant Show.
You're listening to The Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris here with some exciting news. Now you can listen to me live on the WMAL app. Doesn't matter if you're in your car, in the office, on the go. The WMAL app delivers crystal clear around-the-clock news coverage anywhere with cell service or Wi-Fi. So don't miss a second of your favorite shows. Download the WMAL app today on the Apple App Store or at Google Play Store.
It is the Chris Plant Show on a Monday. Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant today. You're always welcome to join us, 888-630-9625. One of the side stories that a lot of the left side of the mainstream media is not covering is Rand Paul referring Dr. Fauci to the Department of Justice for, I hope, criminal prosecution for funding gain-of-function research, but lying about it. That's where the crime comes in, with Fauci lying about it. The back and forth between Fauci and Rand Paul has been the stuff of legend in some of the hearings back and forth. But I think it all was triggered by Jim Jordan doing the investigative work into what happened after Fauci heard from some of his cohorts that, gee, this virus out of China, it doesn't look like it's naturally occurring. And he got a message late on January 31st from a guy who said, a bunch of us agree this is a problem. And then the real cover-up that I believe happened started.
2 hours later, at 12:29 in the morning, Dr. Fauci sends an email to his top deputy, Mr. Hugh Auchincloss. Guy has worked for Fauci for 15 years, part of his inner circle. Sends it, subject line says, important in all capital letters. He attaches a paper on gain-of-function research written by Dr. Barrick and Dr. Shi. Dr. Shi, of course, is the so-called Bat Lady, Batwoman, the lady who does research in the Wuhan, China lab. This email, Dr. Fauci says, again, to his top deputy, it is essential that we speak this AM. Keep your cell phone on. Read this paper. You will have tasks to do today that must be done. Notice the intensity. Notice the focus. I mean, this is the house is on fire email here.
Absolutely right. Jordan got the emails together, found the initial warning, hey, this doesn't look right. Fauci spent 2 hours making a plan. God knows who he called, and then he started sending out emails. That one followed by this email.
Now, 2 hours after that, at 2:48 in the morning, Dr. Fauci's busy this morning. 12:29, that email he sent to Dr. Auchincloss, his top deputy. 2 hours later at 2:48 in the morning, he sends another email, this one to Robert Kadlec, Assistant HHS Secretary, Trump appointee, not part of his inner circle, and he attaches a different article to this email, one that says the virus came from an animal, that downplays any lab leak theory. Now, again, notice the tone of this one. Bob, this just came out today. Gives a balanced view, best Tony. I mean, totally different from the previous. This is one like, oh, if you get a chance, read this, gives a balanced view. So the tone is different, but also that sentence, gives a balanced view, it's not true either. That's just not accurate. This article downplays, as I said, the lab leak theory, emphasizes evolutionary cause to the virus.
Fauci knew his cheese was going to be hung out, and he was starting to distract and deflect, and then he lied about it. I hope Rand Paul is successful. I really do. Great work by Jim Jordan. Great work by Rand Paul. Let's hope the DOJ does its job. Opelka in for Plant on The Chris Plant Show.
This is The Chris Plant Show.
And welcome back to the Chris Plant Show. My name is Mike Opelka on this Monday, the final Monday of July 2023. 462 days away from a presidential election. Of course, a full House election and a huge chunk of the Senate will be up. 462 days. It's going to fly by. I know you're thinking, 462 days. Wow. No, it'll be here before you know it, and we will have decisions to make. And I still stand by my statement. I think Chris and I agree with this. on this. We haven't talked about it on the phone at all. But I have said for months now, I don't think it's going to be Joe Biden. And I think there's a better than 50-50 chance it's not going to be Donald Trump. But it won't be because Mr. Trump isn't capable or qualified like it is in the case of Joe Biden. It's going to be because the left is playing the old Soviet Union card. You know, show me the man and I'll find the crime. Kind of feels that way. And Joe, on the other hand, well, his problems are obvious. And NBC News actually sees it too. This piece from, I think it was Saturday on NBC News.
A recent NBC News poll found more than 2/3 of all voters say they have concerns about the president having the necessary mental and physical health to serve.
Yeah, more than 2/3 of all voters say they're concerned about Joe Biden with his backwards hat is not capable. And then there's Bidenomics, the Biden economic plan, which if you bought gas this weekend, you've seen that the price of gas is going up very steadily in the past 2 weeks. And it's creeping up depending on where you are and what the taxes are in your state. It might be at $4 a gallon again. And really no hope of slowing down. We haven't refilled the Strategic Petroleum Reserve either, which is currently at the lowest rate it's been in over 40 years. So God forbid we need it. Joey has drained it, and he's not allowing us to refill it. It would just be easy for us to drill, baby, drill here. But the economy, despite what the stock market says, not exactly something that most Americans feel like it's a good thing.
Our new CBS News poll shows widespread pessimism about the economy. Roughly 2/3 describe it as bad. Most say the economy's struggling and uncertain. Personally, 70% of working Americans say those paychecks can't keep up with rising prices. Most say, at best, financially they're staying in place. But more than 1/3 say they're falling behind. Nearly half, 45%, think the Biden administration's actions are increasing inflation.
Yep, that's easy. Yeah, they are. And, you know, spending is the huge key. And Joe Biden seems to think that we need to continue spending. We need to continue pouring money into the economy instead of letting the free market do its thing. The free market, which will create competition, which creates better products and also lowers prices because the companies have to adjust to the competition. But, you know, this is a socialist brand of thinking from the Democrats who believe that government should be into everything instead of getting out of the way and letting the economy do its thing. Elizabeth Warren is out there. I know. Amazing, right? Elizabeth Warren, who just a few years ago thought she should have been president, now talking about canceling student debt. We had a Supreme Court decision a few weeks ago that said the government canceling student debt, that's not a thing. This administration keeps trying to find little groups, little pods of people with student loan debt and trying to find a way to wipe it out. And of course, everything that these people do, it comes because of race. The whole reason is because of race, is it not?
And so we've been together fighting to try to cancel student loan debt. Student loan debt is a racial justice issue.
Really? Student loan debt is a racial justice issue. How many members of the White House staff, how many presidential staff members have student loan debt? This is a big question because Joe Biden walks in every morning when he's at the White House. He's only there 61% of the time. 39% of the time he's on vacation. I don't begrudge anybody a vacation, but 10 days on the beach in Delaware while the rest of us are treading water in most parts of our lives. Irresponsible, sir. And then trying to slip in these various student loan payments, which are only going to make you and me pay for other people's bad student loan ideas. You know, those $250,000 student debt payments that have to cover the fact that you got a PhD in one-legged Native American lesbian folk dancing, and now you can't get work outside of a barista gig. It's frustrating. A racial justice issue. That's where we are. That's what the Biden administration is trying to tell you, that this is a racial justice issue, student loan debt. No, you commit to paying a debt and you pay the debt. And you don't go on vacations until you have found a way to do that. Amazing. This weekend, the Sunday shows were kind of filled with some interesting comments. A couple of those came from Democrat Senator Chris Murphy, who was asked questions about Joe Biden's fitness for serving. You know, we see the American people are saying they're worried. They're very worried about him mentally and physically. Mentally, we have myriad examples of Joe Biden stumbling over his own brain and teleprompters and not recognizing people, not being able to say people's names. But the Democrats are all in lockstep on this. The Democrats are all saying, you know, there's no evidence Joe Biden can't do this job.
Well, ultimately, voters in this country care about effectiveness. They care about whether a president can do the job. I guess age is relevant if it is an indicator that a candidate isn't up to do the most important job in the world. But Joe Biden is succeeding, and succeeding at an extraordinary and historic rate.
If he's succeeding at an extraordinary and historic rate, why do a majority of the people feel like he's not handling the economy right? Why? To put it in Joe Biden parlance. Why?
The amount of major legislation passed by this president, the first gun violence bill in 30 years, the first major investment in clean energy, the biggest infrastructure investment in the history of this country, all of that doesn't happen without Joe Biden. He is a master legislative tactician.
He's just the guy who signed the bills. Let's be honest. I wish we had those live lie detectors that they use at the airports in Israel when they're talking to people and questioning them before they allow them to get on a plane. Do you really believe he's a master tactician, or do you believe he's being told something? Seriously.
Involved in a detailed way in the passage of all of those bills. I know because I wrote the gun bill, and I was talking to Joe Biden on a regular basis.
So you wrote the gun bill, and you told Joe, hey, Joe, just hang in there. We're going to get this gun bill to you. You're going to sign it. You pair that together with this dramatic expansion of the economy, America recovering at a faster pace than all of our other high-income competitors. They're just pushing the party line. Now, when it comes to the witch hunt that the Democrats see in the investigation of Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Jim Biden, Jill Biden, and anybody else with the last name Biden, I have to wonder, by the way, complete sidebar here, Your Honor, ADD moment, will little Navy Biden now get on the list of people who get the secret banking wire transfers when Hunter gets a check? Is Navy going to get something there? Because the other members of the Biden crime family who've been getting paid, they're not going to like it that their slice is getting smaller. That's a problem. So what does Democratic Senator Chris Murphy think about the investigation into the Biden crime family?
Now the White House is saying, quote, the president was not in business with his son. That seems to be a change from when they previously said that Joe and Hunter Biden never spoke about it. Do you have any? Now, first of all, CNN, it doesn't seem to be a change. It is a change. It's an absolute change. Joe said he never talked to his son about it. I think we have now 200 times that we've been told that there's never been a conversation. Now Biden and KJB are saying, oh, no, they're not in business together. Let's see what the new party line is. Any concerns about this?
I don't have any concerns. I think this is a witch hunt. If Hunter Biden has broken the law, he should be held accountable for it. I don't think he's being treated any differently than anyone else who's been accused of the crimes that he's been accused of. He's had a lot of trouble in his life, and Joe Biden has been open about it, and I think has shown, as any caring father would, a lot of concern to try to help Hunter Biden recover. But there has never been any evidence that Joe Biden has compromised his office. In fact, to the very opposite, the evidence around the allegations Republicans have made about Hunter Biden's involvement in Ukraine suggests that Joe Biden was working to root out corruption in Ukraine, as he consistently did.
These people don't know the definition of the word evidence. They really don't. And they're lying to us through their teeth. Another witness that we want to bring forward here is Senator Chris Coons from the state of Delaware, Biden's hand-picked replacement, meaning he owes Joe for the rest of his life. He owes Joe. Here's Senator Coons lying to the people.
Let me ask you this. Do you think it would behoove the president for him to come out and say, hey, I had no business dealings with my son. My son's issues are my son's issues. Do you think he needs to say that more directly? Because there's a lot of people that believe something else would happen here.
Well, Chuck, I got to give Chuck actually credit. That's a good question. But he should also have said that Joe has changed his story, or the story is changing. Let's see what Chris Coons says.
Well, let's be clear about that point, Chuck. There's been a 5-year investigation, 5 years, by a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney. This investigation started during the Trump administration, and they've come forward with not one shred of evidence tying President Biden to any of this.
Yes. But the Trump-appointed judge was one that was foisted upon President Trump by you, Senator Coons, and your buddy Tom Carper. And let's look at the whistleblower testimony that says, well, we weren't allowed to do our jobs. It could have been over in 4 months.
Let me ask you this.
Hold on there, Chuck. Hang on there. He just wanted to jump in again. But so we don't have real investigations because they're being blocked at every angle. All right, I'm going to take a couple of calls here real quick. I see the phones are starting to back up, and we have so much more to get to today. Wayne is in Maryland. Wayne, welcome to the Chris Plant Show. What's on your mind?
Quickly, I'd like to know if Riley's going to play by the end of the year. And then, too, I'd like to talk about impeachment schedule and when the House should do it.
Okay, number one, my nephew Riley Opelka, American tennis player, has been on the injured list. It happened just about a year ago as the huge tournament is going on in D.C. starting today. The City Open has many of the tennis greats here. He got injured last year and has been out. I honestly don't know the answer to that question. I heard something about an event after the U.S. Open, but I will try and keep people posted, and I'll put it on my Twitter feed or on pureopelka.com if I get news. And as regards impeachment and a calendar, well, there is no impeachment yet because there are no articles of impeachment, and there can't be articles written until the impeachment inquiry, which is kind of what McCarthy was saying. No, McCarthy was saying we should look into it, but not start an impeachment. And I think that the Republicans are debating whether or not it would hurt their reelection chances 462 days from now if they impeach the president. So I think there's hesitation inside, even though Joe Biden appears to have compromised our security and our country on every level. So there's no real investigation going on yet. It's just an initial inquiry. But thank you, Wayne. I'll keep you posted on Riley. Let's grab one more quick one. Russell in Alexandria, Virginia. Hello, Russell.
How are you, Mike? Yeah,
I'm good, sir.
You're talking about the issues of Biden, being mentally compromised. He was mentally compromised from the get-go.
Yeah.
The American people think he's the one that is calling the shots, and that's not what happens. We've seen that it's the deep state that is making all of these decisions. And it's very concerning because there's really only one person who has shown any willingness to go after this, and it's Trump. And right now, the folks that are making the decisions for the occupant of the memory, the occupant of the memory care unit at the White House, they're very concerned. They're the ones that are calling the shots. They're the ones that are benefiting from this. And they're going to do whatever they need to do, Republican or Democrat, to make sure that the status quo is maintained. And we really only have one more shot to make it a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And we have 462 days.
You're exactly right, Russ. It's all on the table, 462 days from now. And we got to make sure, if we want to live in a republic where freedom and individual choice are allowed, we got to make sure that the Democrats are not in charge on any level. It's Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant on the Chris Plant Show. A lot more to go. Boy, oh boy. There's a whole pile of stuff. And you can join us too. 888-630-9625. The Chris Plant Show.
There's only one Chris Plant. The Chris Plant Show.
It is the Chris Plant Show on a Monday. Mike Opelka is my name, Opelka. For those of you who were asking, no apostrophe, just Opelka. And I appreciate you being here. We have a lot of stuff I want to get to. One of the topics I wanted to approach is also on the mind of one of our listeners, Edward in Tampa. Edward, welcome to the Chris Plant Show. What's up, sir?
Yeah, Michael, thank you for taking my call. I'll do this briefly since I'm driving the safe streets of Tampa.
Yeah,
but,
be careful.
I wanted to comment about Yellow Trucking Company. I saw this on Daily Mail. They ceased operations. They made delivery stops to Walmart.
Yeah, Walmart, Home Depot, a lot of big chains are in the employ or were clients of Yellow Trucking. And if you travel the highways and you see the big semis, you can't miss their trucks. It just has a big word yellow on the backs and on the sides. This company's been around a while. They've had financial troubles for some time. They owed $1 billion to the government during the pandemic. They took some loans. They've only paid back about $250 million of that. And the unions are saying this is a really bad day. Actually, 30,000 people going to lose their jobs. And the big price, not just those 30,000 people, but the cost of shipping everything is going to go up. So Walmart's going to get hit with increased shipping costs, as all the other, I guess, truckers are going to have to pick up the slack here. This is a big stinking deal. We're talking about, they used to average about 30,000 packages a day, 30,000 deliveries a day. And last year went down to about 15,000. So this is a huge hit for the economy. And I wonder where this business is going to go. It's a sad day for the trucking business. The people who kept us supplied during the pandemic, the ones we called frontline heroes. I hope they're going to be okay. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on this. We'll report any updates. It's Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant on the Chris Plant Show.